So I started YouTube September 9th, 2018. Just a hair over 3 years ago. By the time you watch this, it'll be like 3 years and a week. But there's a lot of things I've learned on YouTube and this entire crazy adventure that I kind of got started on, all because I went with my son to like a teen get together, and I realized real quick everyone was watching YouTube. No one watches traditional TV, especially in the younger generations. And I was like, okay, well, I can get on YouTube and make a channel and make this thing work. Oh, how naive and little did I know back then. Me and my little C920 webcam and just a regular headset mic. Those first videos were atrocious, but I'm glad I did it. And let's go over the things I've learned. It's going to be a little bit different than most videos. Everyone else is kind of stating the obvious, I feel. And this is just my personal experiences with YouTube. And I have 7 things here. Number 1, you gotta have fun. If you ain't having fun, it's no fun to watch. Sometimes you just gotta make a video that's like, this isn't the best video, but you know what? I'm gonna do it anyways because I'm having fun. There's gonna be someone out there that's probably gonna enjoy it, but it's not gonna probably be a banger. It's not gonna be like, bam, 1 out of 10 on your metrics. But who cares? Just make it, have fun, and then move on to the next video. And that kind of brings us to point number 2. You got to be genuine. Just be you. But, you probably want to be an amplified portion of you. Have your caffeine beverage or whatever it is that gets you amped. Oh, man, that's a lot of caffeine. But it's great. But you got to get going. You got to be genuine. And don't waste time and just go for it. That's one big thing that I think some people try to put on like a character persona and those types of things. To me, that would just be so much work. And I just, not worth it. Just be you and be as genuine as possible. And that kind of brings us to point number 3. And this is kind of a crappy one, but it's social media, And that is, people will get tired of you. When you do the same old content, same old scene. I've been in this scene for quite some time, although I changed the lighting a little bit for this one. I always try and change up something that's a little different in each video, but I changed up the lighting a bit. People are going to get tired of you, though. They're just going to get tired of what you have to say. A lot of times you exhaust your knowledge, or you exhaust what you can share, or frankly, if it's entertainment, they just get tired of your crap. And then they move on. And this is okay, but just don't take it personally. It's one of those things where folks just get sick of some of the things that you do, or they just get sick of your certain schedule and things, how you construct a video or your edits. I mean, it could be a variety of things. But that kind of brings us to the next one, which is change is vital. You can't just do the same thing that you've always done and continually get results. It's important to change. Now, for me, I probably change a little too much. I probably should stick to a certain niche and then be extremely consistent and just keep doing that one thing. But I wouldn't have fun doing that. And eventually, I would despise making videos. And to me, you got to kind of keep that love alive. And I could do a lot of different things. Probably what most successful YouTubers do is they get a team of people, they put together these structures, they have writers, they have the acting talent, they have the editors, and then they make a whole big thing because they're able to be extremely consistent and niche down into a certain area, and then have 10 different YouTube channels for that team to work on to just kind of push everything out. To me, I kind of like to just be a one-man band and just do it all and have fun. That's why I'm making this video. I know it's going to probably perform like crap, but I don't care. It's more of just getting stuff off my chest, kind of freeing, kind of taking that weight off me, but also maybe helping someone that was curious of how this works. But change is vital. And that's probably the biggest thing I have to say is don't be afraid of change. If you're change averse, I don't know how long you make it in here. Or eventually you get big enough to where that's just all you do. but that's a pretty rough life in my opinion. Next up would probably be when it comes to videos. If you're a little unsure about the video you're making, that's probably the video you should do. It's I've always found the best videos I've done are the ones where I'm like, I don't know how this will do, and man, I'm gonna have to put a ton of time into it to make it a thing. Those are the ones that always do the best. And it's the things that typically I know will probably a portion of my audience won't like, but a mass majority of people will like. Those are the videos that do the best. And when it comes to that, in making videos, if you aren't making someone feel something, whether that's hate or love, those are two very strong emotions. I doubt you get that kind of thing without a ton of videos. But those emotions really will drive your views. If you guys are just watching it like, okay, here's another Titus video. Yep, talking about Linux again. Cool. All right, moving on. But usually, if you can instill some kind of emotion there, like instead of just being stating what's in a manual, let's say, you can say, hey, this will improve your life because this certain tool will improve the way you use your computer. And that usually invokes some kind of emotion in people, or at least it does me. You know, when I find something really cool, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna do this. And yeah, that's it's something that's important. And probably the last thing, everyone says this about YouTube, and you probably know it already. Consistency. You got to be consistent every week. You got to do a video regardless. It's actually, I looked at the algorithms and looked at the drop-offs, and I've gone longer than that, but it's about every 6 days you need some form of engagement. Not necessarily a video, though. I find that doing a poll through the community tab in lieu of a video usually will keep up that engagement. I don't really see a fall off on numbers. But having some kind of engagement is pretty important every 6 days on YouTube. That's kind of the magic number that I've landed on, which is kind of funny, and that can be a little overwhelming for some. And I've taken upwards of a month off. Probably nobody's noticed it because I just schedule out a ton of videos. I've batch recorded like 10 videos at once and just took a whole month off. So that's doable, but it's you gotta that's probably later after you learn quite a bit about video making process. And then probably the final thing here, social media is the devil. And I often find myself on it, using it as an excuse to not do the thing that I probably should be doing. And I think that's pretty much how everybody is. There's some good, don't mind, you know, when it comes to YouTube, you can learn a new skill. You can learn a lot of cool stuff. But I often find myself going, this is kind of my job. I need to be on here. And then I'll be just scrolling Twitter or something that does not add any value to my mind. And then I catch myself and I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? So I always pick a day a week and detoxify and don't do any social media. So important, but man, it's so addictive too. So be careful with it is all I'm saying. So the pros and cons of all this, my 3 years on YouTube. Number one, absolute amazing freedom. The freedom it gives me is amazing. The reward I get from being creative on here and just learning new things and then sharing it is also amazing. I always get diverse and new technology in here, which is great. And I get an excuse to buy a bunch of things I don't need. You know, my wife goes like, why did you buy that? I'm like, it's for the YouTube channel. I absolutely need it. But really, I don't. Don't tell her that. And then cons, let's go to the cons of YouTube. The pay's inconsistent. It can wildly vary. Usually around Christmas time is when you should be just jamming out videos all the way to the new year. And then when January hits, take a long break. That's usually how it works because January, February, also the summertime is usually a pretty rough time for many people on YouTube because that's when AdSense and all the ad stuff kind of falls off, and most sponsors and things like that, there's just less of it during those times. So there's these massive peaks and valleys coming into basically the Super Bowl coming up for us YouTubers is the holiday season, and it is a massive thing. I've been kind of trying to take it a little easy And then once that hits, man, it's going to be like ramp up the video production, work some late nights, and just bang out 5 videos or 10 videos every week at least. And that's just kind of how I work it. And it should know that that's kind of inconsistent. The other thing is benefits. I always joke everybody on YouTube's Canadian because, well, they have health insurance. There's obviously some of us Americans on here, but to do this full time would be a little rough. I still have a day job, even with 300 and something thousand subscribers, and then I have I think like 8,000 subscribers over here, and then I have a crypto channel with like 1,000 subscribers, and it's kind of spread out, but always be building that up. It takes a long time to do this. I find about a year really to monetize of any sort, and then it's probably another 2 to 3 years before it becomes a decent income to where if you're probably in your 20s, you could get away with doing it full time because you really don't have any health issues, or you probably shouldn't have any health issues, and you can get by with a lot more or a lot less than someone with all the obligations I have with a family, a house, and all those fun things. But probably the last thing that's con on YouTube is it can be overwhelming. A lot of people are like, get a team of people and then they can kind of offload all that. And I get the idea behind that, but I've worked with teams of people before, and for me, that's not really a fix. I don't necessarily prescribe to that, which almost every big YouTuber does. But for me, I just kind of like being a one-man band, but I know sometimes it can be overwhelming. But I've gone through things in my life and my professional career that's a little different for me, to where I don't really get that overwhelmed because it's just YouTube after all. It's not like, I got all this. I remember one time I had a data center crash and I was losing that company by having it down, I think it was $10,000 a minute. And the math worked out to just something ridiculous, and I had just an immense amount of stress from like CEOs calling me, and it was just everyone was relying on me getting this thing back up. And I actually had about 72 hours of downtime while I revamped that entire data center, and that was crazy. That was crazy amounts of stress. But going from that type of environment to YouTube, there's nothing really on YouTube that's not too crazy. Yes, I do get overwhelmed sometimes, but it's like I just throw 30 balls up in the air and I'm like, I can catch 10 of these. Yeah, all right, I'm going to get this one. All right, the rest of them are just going to fall to the next day, and that's just kind of how I treat it. And sometimes that probably isn't the best method for a business, but I enjoy it. I kind of, like I said, the big pro here is just freedom to do all those things, and I don't really want to turn into some big media corporation, which, funny enough, I did actually set up a business for YouTube, and switching all that out this year. So I have some LLC protection for, like, let's say someone sues me or something crazy. I don't think that would happen. I couldn't imagine, but better safe than sorry, and have some kind of protection. All right. Well, with that, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of old YouTube? Does this advice help you out, or did I just do a brain dump and you're like, oh my God, Titus, I made it 2 minutes into this thing? If you made it to the end, let me know, because, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I'm ranting to myself on this one, and I'm not sure how many people are going to want to watch this whole thing. Regardless, have fun. Later.